Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here. One of the most popular videos that you guys have been requesting is a gear guide for Shadower. You guys know that I've been covering Shadower recently as well as the second character we are covering on this channel. And this video is specifically for that. I must say that even though this is my second account, this is not my main character. My main, of course, you guys know, you follow the channel, is a bishop. This is my second character, but I do have some money spent in this account, as you will see. This video is great for long-term shelf life for those people who want to know what to work towards in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year. If you are completely free to play or very small spender, your budget is less than $1,000, you want to check the pinned comment for my recommendations of investment value, what gives you the most bang for your buck if you are buying gear first, and how to progress in my tips and tricks. So that aside, now that we have that aside, this character is actually used to boss. We carry people. As you can see, I just created a guild as well. Subscribe if you haven't as well. For those of you who are members of the channel, tier 3 members, joining us for our daily bossing, weekly bosses as well, join our guild. We will be happy to help you out, ask any questions. If someone's KSing your map, let me know. I'll go over and see what we can do as well. So equipment, you see a lot of green over here, but again, as I mentioned, this is a very long shelf life video for something that you want to work towards. It's not something that I expect you to be like, after this video, you are going to have this gear. It's not the case, but I think the logic and thought process is a lot more important for you to take away so that you can bring with you for the next couple of months, wherever it is. I want this video to value add to you in the long run. So for any of you Shadower mains, any of you don't know, I talked about this on our Discord as well. I'm actually a Shadower main outside of the NFT Maple, the original Maple. So I've been playing Shadower for a really long time, and it's my main character. But you guys were the one that voted for this, so it's not as if I'm playing my Shadower because of convenience. But my biggest tip for any one of you who are starting out, any DPS basically, but Shadower specifically, is you want to go for the WSE is the most important. The weapon is, I'll talk about why it's rare in a little bit. The weapon, the secondary, as well as the emblem. Now, I'll give you a bit more Shadower specific stuff, but again, I know you see a lot of green. You guys are turn off already. Oh my god, this is a massive amount. Again, this is my second character. This is not my main character. It's just you guys voted for this one, and if you haven't voted for our third character, make sure you're going to the polls and voting on it as well, so that we can play the character that you want and gear it and have customized guides for you as well. So other than that, what am I thinking is very important for Shadower in MaplestoryN specifically? You need crit rate. The idea is 2 lines of crit rate. The reason for that is because Shadower generally does not have a lot of crit rate because of the skills. So if you go into the skills over here, unlike Marksman, unlike Night Lord with a ton of crit rate, with 50% crit rate at your second or third job for Night Lord, your Shadower only gains 25%. So you have to find that crit rate from other sources of crit rate stuff. So you will notice a lot of the higher level, the top 10 Shadowers and stuff, they have 2 lines of crit rate, 9 and 9. For me, I'm playing cheat a little bit. I have another 9% here in my legendary ability. What that allows me to do is actually drop the amount of crit rate that I have in my hyper stats. So you want to get it from your hyper stats, you want to get it from your inner ability, and you want to try to find some sort of crit rate in the bonus potential or whatever, not from your weapon secondary or emblem. Just 2 lines will do. Even if it's rare, you can find I think it's a 4 or 6% if it's a prime line. But of course, if you have it legendary and stuff, it's a little bit higher. But again, this is just to get it to 100%. Right now, we don't have a lot of advanced stuff like Legion, Unions, and whatever not. If you guys are new to Maple, don't bother about all of that first, because more importantly is the present moment. When we get there, we have more stuff added into the game. We will cover it on this channel. So make sure you have the notification bell turned on so you get all these information spoon-fed you, rather than relying on the algorithm, which can be a bit iffy at times. You are not getting recommended the video you actually need at times. So that's specific for Shadower. I think crit rate is quite useful. 2 lines of crit rate, unlike a lot of the other classes. Again, I've been playing Shadower for a really long time. I've been playing Maple for 20 years on and off, more or less. And more importantly, right now in the game, I think most important is the weapon secondary and emblem, but the weapon is very expensive right now. For those of you who are looking at the Fafnir Damascus, and I can go into the Chaos Root Abyss here to show you, you can see the price of the Damascus is ridiculously expensive because it's sold out. So if you go into the Root Abyss, you can see what people are buying. You can see the most popular classes. The dagger is sold out. So you can't even buy the shards, the 15 shards off of the FT marketplace. And then after you come here and exchange for a dagger, you can't do that because there is none available. And you can see the charge amount per cycle is so little. It gives you like 0.01 every, 30 minutes or something, one charge. So in order to get one dagger being released in the market, it's super long, which means this is an inflationary item. It's just going to get more and more expensive. Other than that, it's very expensive also to gear your weapon. So right now in the game, Fafnir is super expensive. If you can see here, just to move up 1 star from 11 to 12 is 2 million Nesos. For a potential reroll is 700,000. For a bonus, a reroll is 240,000. You're not even tearing up. And of course, your black cubes cost 2 million just to have one chance of a reroll. It's really, really expensive right now. But weapons are the ones that add the most damage. So for weapons, stars are very important because stars give you damage. Let me just show you again. If I were to enhance my dagger, for example, if I were to bring out my dagger, goodness, it's a bit laggy. But when you star weapons, you gain attack. On the other hand, in contrary, if you star, for example, armor, you only get stats until you hit like 15 stars. So weapons, very efficient to star, and you should be starring your weapons. If it's very low star, like 0 stars, 5 stars, you should bring it up to like 10 or whatever you're using. Push it up as much as you can because you get a lot of attack and it's great value. That's why it's very expensive to star weapons in general because everyone is doing that for that huge amount of damage gain. So that's for starring, that's for focus on weapon, secondary, and emblem. Generally, you want to move towards the Fafnir set because this is going to be best in slot all the way until like 250 plus in the game. The next better set is Eternals, which is like a super end game. Like even in current Maplestory, the one that has been going for like 20 years, a lot of the player base still hasn't upgraded from their Chaos Root Abyss set. So this pretty much will last you for an eternity until you get Eternals. So super strong. The weapon, of course, is the one that is going to be changed later on first. You're going to be changing it from the Fafnir's weapon, the Chaos Root Abyss set, to Arcane Shade, the level 200 one. Later on, once we have Arcane River, Lucid, and Will, and stuff like that, then we will be able to change. For those of you who don't know and don't play the original Maple, don't worry about it. I will give you the information as it comes. I'm just preparing you in advance of what is changing, what is not changing, so you have an expectation of what gear will last longer. So your assassin shirt, assassin pants, your assassin hood, these will last very long, and it's a great idea to invest if you have the funds to get one of them. Even if you can't afford the dagger, the 3-piece of the Fafnir is super good. The Chaos Robe is really good because it gives you a 50 flat attack. If you look at the 3 set items equipped over there, 50 flat attack, the 2-piece gives you 20 dex, 20 luck. But what's even better than this is because it's 2 pieces, so you effectively get double the potential of the closest competitor, which is Absolapse. And I'll talk about Absolapse in a little bit as well. So ideally, this is something that you want to work towards in like the middle game progress kind of thing. Not super end game gear yet, because you can still upgrade a lot of things. At least I can upgrade a lot of things. Again, this is my second account. If I put all my money in like one character, my main or something, probably I'll be having the end game gear. But of course, I split my resources so that I can create content for you guys, to carry you guys as well for boss runs that we do every single day. If you're interested in joining us for bossing runs, currently I can solo all the way up until like normal sickness, normal Zakum, before you guys die out. After that, like Chaos Root Abyss, I can solo, but you guys might probably like die out before I clear it. So I don't carry you guys there. If you guys are interested in more of that, do join us as a member. I think it's really solid. In that way, the money that I spend goes back to you guys. You guys watch me and stuff. It all goes back to you as my way of contributing to your success as well. So now that we talked about the Fafnir, we talked about the weapon, secondary, and emblem, some people will ask me, what lines should I look for EOD? Should I push it up to unique? Should I push it up to legendary and stuff? My advice to anyone thinking about tiering is legendary additional potential. You see the second line, the bonus potential there. The bonus potential is the most expensive to roll. If you just do a Google search, you would find that the rates are less than 1% to tier from unique to legendary bonus potential. No one really knows how accurate it is. Nexon also hasn't released official rates for MaplestoryN, so it's anyone's wild guess. But for my calculations, the most expensive one is unique to legendary. Of course, I did the calculations on the videos as well on the channel. You guys can check it out. You will find it in our pinned comments sections as well. But my recommendation, legendary the bonus potential, don't push to legendary. Just keep it at like epic, unique, very efficient, very, very good already, because it's quite easy to get to a unique bonus potential. So something like this, you can get it to a unique. This is where like probably for a free to play player or a small spender, as you work towards, will be the ideal. Of course, you want to push at least the top, maybe to legendary. So you have a legendary potential, bonus potential is unique. The reason why the potential is easier to go up is because there's not much risk of you ruining something. So right now, if I wanted to go, for example, if let's say I wanted to tier up this this one over here. If I want to tier up this shoulders, if I wanted to push like the potential, at least I have the option of choosing left and right. Whereas like bonus potential, if I roll, all of this is gone. So I have to hard commit into the tier up. If not, my currently decent stats will be all thrown away. So that's why it's very, very difficult. And my recommendation to do bonus potential last, especially if you're at like unique like this. So you want to push it up to legendary. The first items that should go to legendary is your secondary and emblem. These are very, very cheap to level up. Of course, your weapon, depending on what weapon you're using. If you're using lower tier weapons, the ones that people are selling to upgrade, those will be affordable. But if you're using like Fafnir and stuff, it's massively expensive. As you can see, the rare that I have here from lack of budgets. But these are actually much more affordable to actually tier your Slashing Shadow and your Gold Maple Leaf. But the rule of thumb is make sure every of your gear is at least epic, with something like this, like 6% luck, 3% luck, or all stats, and you have a bonus potential already attached with either attack, luck, or whatever not that gives you your primary stats. And once you have that, then you can start focusing on your weapon and emblem, because this gives you your attack percentage, this gives you your boss damage, this gives you your defense ignore, which is not found in most other places. And that will be my recommendation for like, how do you tier up? The next thing that I want to talk about is boss sets. One of the very, very common things that I see a lot of people getting confused over is they are not sure exactly what is the set to go for, what is the optimal, what is the meta. So other than the CRA set that you want to work towards, right now each piece costs like 4 mil. So even if you don't even have any potentials on them, you get if you just buy like 12 mil of gear eventually, I mean, Unchained is going for like 2 mil, roughly around there. And if you get if you like double the value, you'll be able to get these CRA sets with 50 flat attack, which is massive. Especially if you guys don't have expensive gear yet, you don't have a super good weapon, that 50 flat attack really makes a massive difference. It's like all your pets put together in that flat stat. So it's super huge. At the same time, the next set that is really worth considering is the boss set, but this one can be a little bit expensive because each item roughly costs us 2 mil and up. Certain items like the Pimbing Holy Cup, I know it's like 3 mil. Certain items like the Noble Ifya is going for, I think, like 3+ mil. It's much more expensive, and of course your Dominator Pendant and your Crystal Ventus is all a little bit more expensive, but on average maybe around 2 to 3 mil each. So work your way up. You don't have to get all 9 items like after this video. You can slowly buy your items and it fills a slot at the same time, because right now a lot of you might have empty slots. You can fill in those slots with boss accessories. So I like these ones, like the Condensed Power Crystal. I like the Aqua Lateral Eye accessory. A lot of people compare like, is Neophyte better? Is your the boss set better? Everyone wants to upgrade to Black Bean, but you must understand one huge thing, and that's where like we differentiate ourselves on the channel compared to a lot of the other whale YouTubers. For me, I gear myself so that I can educate and boss carry you guys. It's my way of contributing and my service that I provide. Other people, they are just out to clear bosses, right? And they will always recommend you just get the most legendary unique as much as you can. So on the channel, especially when we do on our members section, I give a lot of investment advice, and it's a lot better to invest in stuff that are cheap to go up in tier. You don't have to actually invest a lot. The stuff that people don't want, consider those. The stuff that people want, ask yourself, is it really, really that wise? Because it is overinflated. This game is based on a supply and demand thing, and demand is can fluctuate very greatly. So what do I mean by that? Stuff like this, your Aqua Light eye accessory has many competition, but the reason why I choose it is because it's very, very cheap to tier. If you see this one, it only costs us, to be fair, cheap is a subjective word. I know not all of you have the money or like 20k Neso to just anyhow cube. But one thing you must understand is the dagger costs us like 2 million to black cube. So in comparison, this is 1% of the price. In that perspective, it is very cheap if you look at the grand scheme of things. So that aside, if you black cube this, it's quite affordable to go up. Let's say you get it in 50 cubes. 50 cubes, how much is that? Maybe 1 mil? So you can actually tier it up or get to a unique in a very, very low budget cost. At the same time, it fulfills a boss set. Yes, some people might say you will upgrade to Black Bean Mark later on, but do you know how expensive it is to get to a 17 star? It's freaking expensive. Just to put it into perspective, to get to a level where your Black Bean Mark outperforms Aqua Light eye accessory, you need to be past the 15 star mark, which is something like this Golden Clover belt that I have. To get it up here, it costs us 800,000 per roll, and you have a chance of major failure, which drops it down another 10. So you're basically going to be bouncing around 11 all the way to 15 for like maybe 10 mil, 15 mil easily, or maybe 20 mil. So you just keep bouncing around before any gains. And once you hit 15, you have a chance of like dropping massively. So you have to major failure prevent. If not, you are like completely destroyed. So it's really, really very tough to get that Black Bean Mark to outperform. So if you are a smaller spender, you are not a massive whale like those like top 10, top 20 giga lots that spend tens of thousands on this game. My advice to you is probably go for something cheaper like these letter eye accessories. Go for condensed power crystal and stuff. These are all very affordable. They help you hit your boss set. You want 9 of them. So out of all of your gear, you can only kind of take off 2 items from your slots that are not boss set. In my case, I chose the 7 days badge and I chose 1 slot for the Neophyte pendant. The reason for that, usually people will choose the belt because the belt is very expensive to get up, but I have a pretty decent belt over here. So I have another spare slot which I used for the 7 days badge. Because the 7 days badge gives me ignore defense, and currently in the climate, ignore defense is not very easily obtainable in a lot of places. So having that additional 10% defense ignore does help a lot in the early game. Later on, if I get the 7-day monster Parker, also it gives me additional 10%. And this is best in slot. The only reason why you see a lot of people don't run this is because they rather the Crystal Ventus badge so that they can make you way for another Neophyte item. So for example, they will replace like your condensed power crystal with a Neophyte that's legendary. So something like this, they will use instead of maybe just a normal Mechanator pendant or horntail necklace or something like that. This one, because I have it at decent stats, so I didn't really feel a need to put in like a double Neophyte pendant. That's why I ran with the 7 days badge. So it's all about like maximizing your stats. The Neophyte stuff used to be a lot cheaper. We talked about it on the channel, and then the price started to go up as well. And now it's like super expensive for like one of these stuff. I think it went up by 50% in price, the lower tier Neophyte good ones. Even your rings also are super expensive. So I use both the Neophyte rings. Again, this is a massive luxury because each of them go for at least $300 plus. Double legendaries. I scroll this myself because I've done so much cubing at this point. I kind of know what is the fair value of legendary, unique, which I share with you guys on the channel. Again, the pinned comment will get you started, all of that. And basically I just run the boss set. So now that we have talked about a lot of things, there's one last thing that I haven't covered. We covered a lot, like Neophyte, we covered boss set, and hopefully by now you kind of get a better idea of the direction you want to hit for efficiency, to have your overall account growing in a proper way. The next thing that I want to talk about is the last part over here. If you notice, I didn't talk about my boots, my gloves, as well as my cape too much, and there's a reason for that. So out of all of the gear that I have, the first ones that I intend to change will be the boots, the gloves, and the cape. The question is to what? And we will end off the video with, of course, comparing the Fafnir together with... let me just move here first. I haven't done the quest for Haven because I'm saving that for the EXP when I'm too lazy and I need that 30% straight But anyways, of course, if you're finding value in this video so far, you haven't subscribed, you're already watching to this point, do me a favor, like subscribe and have the notification. It's for your own good as well, where we spoon feed the information. Unless you're like planning to stop making money in MapleStory, then I guess it doesn't really matter. But anyways, Absolabs here is going to be the next upgrade for me. And I will be changing the gloves and the boots to Absolabs. It's in the Haven. I don't have Haven unlocked yet on this particular account. That's how fresh this account is as well. I'm also saving that quest for that 30% when I don't feel like grinding. But let's just use this as a proxy. So you have the Absolab Pirate Cape here, or whatever Bandit Cape. This will replace whatever cape I'm using. And the boots will also go into Absolabs. So I'll be running like a 3-piece Absolabs. And eventually the shoulders will change. So the shoulders will change to Absolabs. So I'll run a 4-piece Absolabs with a 4-piece Fafnir. And that will be pretty much what you will be running all the way to Arcane Shade. And it's currently the endgame equipment. So once I change 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm basically going to have that endgame equipment. And I want to move towards Absolab. But right now, Absolabs is going for like 15 mil, 16 mil each. For the gains that I get losing these potential lines that I have on these 3, I don't think is really very valuable. So I don't want to spend like 45 million just changing 3 pieces. It's kind of like not really worth it for the amount of gains that I lose as well. I lose instead because of my potential lines on these 3 items. So I'm just waiting for it to get cheaper. Once there's better stuff, maybe I'll upgrade, but not in a huge, massive rush just to get the piece. So that being said, before we go on to like Absolabs versus Fafnir in MaplestoryN, the last thing that I want to talk about really is understanding what do you get out of the money that you spend. A lot of people I see, and one of the huge mistakes I see is people just buy gear because it's best in slot, but they don't consider that there are a lot of other cheaper alternatives going for legendary potential. So an item like this, an Unchained Chaser Hands with 12% luck, crit damage, and all stats, together with the amount of luck and that I have, this, to be honest, it looks really nice, but it costs us probably less than an epic percentage Absolabs glove. And it's definitely going to be way more inferior. So a lot of people will choose to go to Absolabs, at least less informed people will choose to go to Absolabs just because they think that, oh, if you get it, it's done. But there's a more efficient way of doing things. As we talked about on the channel as well, we tons of these kind of advice, especially if you are supporters of the channel, you get a lot of these updated with market time because this is meant to be like a long shelf life guide. The last thing that I want to talk about is Absolabs versus Fafnir, weapons specifically. A lot of people at some point will be looking at this and seeing which is better. Is it better to get the Fafnir Damascus or is it better to get the Absolabs Blade Lord? By logic, the Fafnir is more efficient because of the 4-piece set, you get that boss damage 30%. However, the Blade Lord here has better base stats. So if the Fafnir is 3 times the price, go for the Blade Lord, please. Even though you will see everywhere saying recommending the Fafnir, if the Fafnir is 200 mil and the Blade Lord is only 50 mil for the exact same naked thing, go for the Blade Lord. It's much more efficient because you save yourself 150 mil. But if they are both the same price, roughly the same price, you want to go for the Fafnir Damascus first over the Absolab Blade Lord. Because at the end of the day, you can also run a lucky hat like the Chaos Vellum hat to get you a nice bonus. But of course, this is a little bit longer in future. I will do a more updated video later on as more of you guys progress towards there. If you are interested in more advanced tips like how to boss, how to get carried and stuff, we have a lot of this specifically for members of the channel because it's more niche, fewer people will actually want it. So that's why the outreach is a lot less. If you're interested, join us as a member. We have tons of support. And again, thank you guys again so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, I try to be as in-depth as I can. Do like, comment, subscribe. Join us as a member. It really will help the channel survive. I only get like less than $1 from these kind of videos. So if you want these videos to go on, please do consider supporting, especially if you made money from MapleStory and our videos as well. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in one of these 2 next videos.